Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'll read you a prepared news release and I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions that you might have. Some I may not be able to answer, some I may not want to answer because of various reasons, but I will be as open and as transparent with you as I can. On 4/23/24 at approximately 11 o'clock, give or take 15 minutes, I received a phone call at home from District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer. She was concerned about her nephew, Supervisor Zack Scrivner, and she told me that he was having some type of psychotic episode at his residence in Tehachapi. She told me he was armed with a gun. We hung up and I immediately called our comm center, and because I wanted a response of more than one person, I had our comm center dispatch deputies to the residence that's in the city of Tehachapi. A short time later, she called me back and told me that he had been disarmed. So I relayed that information to my comm center to let the deputies know that he was no longer armed, but still having an episode. Deputies responded to the residence in Tehachapi to report that Supervisor Scrivner was armed and suicidal. Upon arrival, deputies secured the firearm and started their investigation. During the investigation, deputies learned that Zack Scrivner had a physical altercation with his children, and Zack was stabbed twice in the upper torso. The physical altercation occurred over allegations Zack had sexually assaulted one of his children. Deputies called detectives to further the investigation. Detectives obtained search warrants looking for evidence of the stabbing and the sexual assault. During the search, detectives seized approximately 30 firearms and possible evidence of the assault and sexual assault. Forensic evidence was seized for examination. When deputies arrived, Zack's parents were also in the residence. Supervisor Scrivner was transported to Kern Medical Center, where he was treated for his wounds. Because the district attorney Cynthia Zimmer is Mr. Scrivner's aunt, the Attorney General and another county have been contacted to review the evidence once we complete our investigation. It should be noted that this investigation is ongoing and not near completed. We still have interviews to conduct, we still have forensic evaluations to make, and this could be a lengthy process because it's not going to be submitted to our crime lab here or our district attorney here. It's going to go outside the county. So this may take us a little bit longer to come to a conclusion, and then when we get there, you'll be the first to know, and we'll do another press conference. With that, I'll answer your questions.
Sheriff, I know you said there's information you can't answer right now, but is there anything else other than the alleged victims who were sexually assaulted, anything to corroborate further that a sexual assault had taken place? Once
we complete those forensic evaluations, I'll answer that question for you.
You mentioned that evidence of the assault and firearms were seized at the home. Was there any other legal substances or anything that was seized during this investigation?
We believe that we found a small quantity of psychedelic mushrooms.
Was the child who stabbed him, was this child arrested, or what happened to this?
No, we're in the middle of the investigation. The child was protecting the other child from what he believed occurred.
What is Mr. Scrivner's condition?
He was treated from KMC with non-life-threatening injuries.
Was a 5150 hold placed on Zack Scrivner?
That's a HIPAA question that I can't answer, and you'll have to do your own research.
Okay. How about, is it true that he had a gun to his head?
There may be evidence to that. I have not read the reports.
Was he under the influence of any substances at the time he was contacted?
The forensic evaluations will tell us that as we progress.
Will he be arrested once he's released from the hospital?
If there's evidence and the district attorney or the attorney general issues a complaint, then yes.
Were any electronics seized from the home?
Yes.
Can you tell us what electronics?
I don't know. I know that electronics, to include phone, were seized.
So what is his status right now? He's in the hospital, or what's going on?
I don't know where Supervisor Scrivner is. I think I know, but I'm not sure, so I can't answer your question.
What other agencies at this point are involved in the investigation? Is it just the sheriff's office or any other outside agencies?
The sheriff's office, the attorney general, and the Tulare County Sheriff's Office is who we're hoping will conduct this examination at the end of the review.
Sheriff, who else was on scene when this happened?
Supervisor Scrivner, his 4 children, and his parents.
Did DA Zimmer respond to the scene?
She did not.
Were there any previous calls for service at his house before this?
None that I'm aware of.
So it was DA Zimmer who was the reporting party initially on this incident?
She called me, it seems like it was about 11 o'clock, and was pretty emotional, pretty worried, and I took the call, immediately called the comm center, and got deputies en route.
I'm sorry, when you say
We were responding to what we believed at the time was a suicidal person having a psychotic episode, not any crime. So that was Supervisor Scrivner. That's why one of the reasons that we handled it ourselves.
11 o'clock on Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning?
Tuesday evening at 11 o'clock, 11 p.m.
Were there any 911 calls made?
Not that I'm aware of.
Has the FBI been involved in this investigation at any point?
I don't know what federal crime you would be alluding to. It has to be a federal offense.
Sheriff, so to be very clear, is anyone else under investigation other than Supervisor Scrivner?
No.
Where are his children at currently and his wife?
They're with the mother.
How old are the children?
I don't want to go into their ages at this point. I'm being very cautious to protect what little identity we can protect.
Can you at least say if they're all minors or?
There are.
Do you know where Christina Scrivner was when this happened?
I do not.
So Zack Scrivner has not been booked yet, is that right?
That's correct.
Which agency will do the booking if there's something to find that a crime has been committed?
If a warrant is issued, then any law enforcement agency can make that arrest. You have to understand, if you make an arrest, a clock starts, and you can't stop that clock. And you have 48 hours to do certain things, and we know we could not get any of this done in 48 hours or to meet that time clock. So this is the proper way to do this. I know there's a thirst for knowledge and information from the media and from the public, but we will not let the media or the public dictate the pace of our investigation. We want to make sure we do it right.
Is it the Tehachapi School District involved in all of this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Sheriff, was there any effort to conceal any aspect of this on site at the Tehachapi home? Any aspect of what may have happened at the house, was there any effort to conceal?
The investigation should lead us to that answer.
So were deputies there from 11 p.m. Tuesday night to the following day, or how did that time?
They were,
So throughout early morning they were there.
correct,
Was he stabbed with a knife or was it another implement?
with a knife.
Kitchen knife?
I don't know.
Can you tell us how far did the sexual assault go, and how is the person who was on the?
I won't go into the elements of the sexual assault for the sake of the minor, but any sexual assault of a minor is serious.
And how is that person now?
Person is fine.
Was it one of his?
I'm not a psychologist, so I can't answer your question in totality.
Do we know if it was one of his sons or daughters that was sexually assaulted?
I do know, but I'm not going to address that.
Just to be clear, was one of the children in fact sexually assaulted, or is that something that you're investigating?
I wouldn't be standing up here if we didn't believe that something occurred. We're going to conduct a proper investigation, a thorough investigation, so we can give you those definitive answers and either answer with a warrant for his arrest or not. And if not, I'll stand up here and be telling you why not.
Sheriff, what happens in the meantime? Is he allowed to be around his children? Will he be allowed to continue to serve on the board of supervisors?
He will not be. We have an emergency protective order to keep him away from his children.
What about the
Whether he serves on the board of supervisors is above my pay grade. I don't control whether he goes to work or whether he does not.
So we don't know which county is going to be covering this since Kern County can't?
We're looking at Tulare County, we usually reach out to them, they reach out to us, but there's a procedure you have to go through, and we're in the middle of that procedure We've been in contact with the Attorney General to see if they want to do it, and we're expecting an answer back as we sit here.
Has Mr. Scrivner provided a statement yet, or is that still pending?
We don't release suspect statements.
Just to clarify, he's still in the hospital right now?
Not to my knowledge.
So he's already been released?
I don't know where he's at.
Do we know who put him on the 5150 hold? Was it DA Zimmer who recommended it?
I didn't confirm that he was on a 5150 hold.
Do you deny it?
I said I wasn't going to answer.
How is this not a Tehachapi Police Department case?
How's it not? Because I chose to handle it with a group of deputies that I knew would respond together as opposed to one Tehachapi police officer. Sheriff has jurisdiction anywhere in the state of California. In talking to the chief afterwards, they would have handed this off to us anyway because of the complexity of the case.
Was there any other evidence of sexual assault found aside from the electronics and anything exactly that points to sexual assault found?
We'll release that information when we finish with the forensic evaluation. Anybody else?
Has Mr. Scrivner ever been in rehabilitation?
I have no idea. Anybody else? All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Sheriff.